I'm at the A-hole for making a scene when I found out my sister put my niece up for adoption when she had her son. My sister had a second child, and we were all thrilled for her. She lives a few states over, and we haven't seen her this last year. She had one child 2 years ago with her boyfriend, and the other one was born last month. Yesterday, we had a family Zoom meeting to see the baby and to say hi to my other nibbling. We get on. Family starts to load in. Everyone is basically there thrilled to see the baby. We get to meet her new baby boy. After a bit, I asked to see my niece as well. My sister got quiet and very quietly said she doesn't have her. My aunt questioned this, and I was also confused. After a few minutes, my sister said that in the beginning of January, she put her daughter up for a closed adoption because she couldn't care for 2 kids. Everyone lost it. The whole Zoom was a mess. We didn't know. We never got to say goodbye. She didn't have to do this because any one of us would have taken my niece. Hell, I could have taken her. I've had multiple miscarriages / fertility issues, and although I am currently pregnant, I am stable, owning a home, and have the resources to have taken a toddler as well as have my baby. Important. My sister has always also said she wanted to be a boy mom. I lost it. I called my sister a narcissistic C word. I asked her when she'd get bored of the new baby and get rid of that one too. I asked her how the hell she could do this without reaching out to family. I know my sister, and I know deep down she didn't want a daughter. She was depressed when she found out she was having a girl, but thrilled for this entire recent pregnancy. I called her a monster for making children she didn't want to care for, like they were a novelty. I said some other things too. At this point, my grandmother is a complete mess and says her chest hurts, so I stop. My aunt, who is with my grandmother, goes to help her and turns off the camera. My grandmother ended up having a panic attack that they thought was a heart attack at first. I'm so glad she's okay. My sister has since cut off all contact from the entire family. My father is pissed at me for blowing up. I was the only one who did, and says that I pushed her away. He said he could have tried to convince her to reverse it, but my verbal lash completely ruined any chance of getting my niece back. I don't think he understands what a close adoption means. Also, adoption takes a minute. So for her to have it completed by January makes me feel this process was in place for a minute. I don't think there's any chance of seeing my niece again when the mother and father both signed her to be adopted. He's mad at me because now he lost his granddaughter and is afraid he'll never know his grandson. My dad thinks I'm an A for freaking out and nearly giving my grandmother a heart attack. I'm feeling guilty that my grandmother had such an extreme reaction, but I feel that's more because she lost her great-granddaughter. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. For a moment, I misread it and thought she put up the newest baby for adoption, which, if she was worried about being able to support 2 children, I would have understood. Though with her knowing you are interested in adoption, I would have thought she was a little bit of an A. However, after realizing that instead she adopted out her 2-year-old, I'm just utterly sickened and stunned. I have memories from being 2 years old, so this is a child who is aware enough to remember her parents and other family. This is a child who loved them unconditionally, who understood what love is. I'm just so sick at the thought of this. Apologies for jumping on a top comment, and I know this is very dark, but I think OP needs to contact the police to check that the girl was in fact legally adopted by a family. I have trouble believing a social worker or any legit agency would allow this without question, /therapy, /intervention, or even contacting family. My fear is that the sister did this under the table to people who were not vetted or could be traffickers. Or worse, like Kaylee Anthony was supposedly with a babysitter. A closed adoption sounds like a great excuse as to why no one will ever see the niece again, and have no way of knowing it, checking up on if she was safe. Also, is the boyfriend okay, or is it possible he's mistreating her and pushed her to do this? Since Opie's profile is legit and not a throwaway, I have deep concerns and questions about this. Honestly, that's my fear too. Was this child actually adopted out? Does the boyfriend know? I would also get someone else's verification. Not a hole. I think this is one of the worst things I've ever seen on Reddit. I just can't get my head around it. OP, I suspect your dad was taking it out on you because you were there and your sister wasn't. Unfair, but your dad is just as blindsided as you are, so hopefully can be forgiven for his extreme reaction. The only comfort I can think to take is that if your sister really didn't love her daughter, Hopefully your niece has been placed with a family who will, and will have a better childhood as a result. But I'm so very sorry that wasn't with you. I'm honestly surprised that the authorities allowed a child to be ripped away from its wider family like this. It would be very traumatic. Did she lie and tell them there was no one willing to take the child or stay in its life? And if so, does that have any effect? I would speak to a family lawyer if I was you, even if it confirms that there is nothing that can be done. If this post is real, you should probably contact the police so they can confirm the child was actually adopted and that nothing horrible happened to her. Not a-hole. I am contacting authorities on this. First in her area and also my own lawyer. I'm concerned she wasn't properly adopted out. Edit to update. I've contacted the local CPS for my sister's area, local courts, and I have a lawyer looking into it for me, starting tomorrow as I just obtained him. Thank you for the helpful comments pointing out the issues with us. Especially thank you to those in social work who reached out to me privately. I didn't realize how many options I had to fight this, or to see if it was legit. I'll update when I find more out from the lawyer. Am I the a-hole? My brother and me made my dad leave for my mom's funeral? My parents haven't been together for 10 months because mom found out he's been cheating on her with one of their friends for I don't know how many years. The friend's the one who told her, not my dad. This messed up my mom, and she wasn't the same. He hasn't talked to me, 16 male, or my brother, 25 male, since he left. But we haven't wanted to talk to him either. I can't believe he hurt her, and it made me sad seeing the way it left her after. She tried to be strong for us, but I was up every night listening to her crying. My mom died, and last week was her funeral. It took time to organize it. My brother and my grandma were in charge, and we kept it small for only a few people. My dad showed up in the morning and wanted to go inside, but we told him no. It was only a few family allowed in, and we didn't want him there at all. She died sad and hurt because of him. He tried to talk to us and said he loved her and wanted to be there for us as emotional support. I lost it on him. I told him to get the hell out, and we don't need no support from him. It was super emotional, I just wanted him to leave. My brother told him he's not welcome, and eventually he left so we did the service in peace. There was some family there that wasn't happy that we kicked him out, and we've gotten talked to by them. They get why we're mad, but he was still her husband and someone he loved, so it might have been right to let him grieve like we are too. My dad has talked to our cousins about how hurtful that was that he didn't get to say his own goodbye, and apologized for what he did. They told him to screw off, and then told us all the other stuff he's been saying to everyone else. Mostly, everyone agreed we had every right to not want him there. But others that don't think so keep saying we were awful to not let someone grieving be a part of it. So, I don't know what to think. I didn't want him there, and my brother didn't either. But were we still a-holes we didn't let him in? Not a-hole. She wouldn't have wanted him there. You and your brother didn't want him there. And I assume nobody else there wanted him there. I'm not sure why anyone else's opinion matters. Just want to add, he cheated on her for years. How can you claim to love someone then do that to them? I don't want to be the grief police, but I feel like he lost the right to mourn her when he made the decision to cheat on her. Multiple times. For multiple years. Not a-hole. He was supposed to be her everything. Instead, he spat on all that and left your mother in pieces. He had 10 months to do something about that. Where was he back then? For her and you too. He was only there to save face. If she didn't die, he'd continue living as he did. Tell them what kind of person cheats on their loved one and only come to talk when she was 2 feet into the ground. If they can answer that in a way to change your mind, then they can say whatever, I guess. Wasn't around because he was ashamed according to him, and he knew we didn't want to see him. Plus, my mom didn't want to be with him. What a convenient excuse. Of course you two and she wouldn't want to even look at him. So what? If he really gave a damn, he'd try to at least admit that he made a choice. A stupid choice, and he's an idiot. He could have said so many things to make your mother feel better. Things at his expense. But that man is a coward. The fact he only showed up when she was dead proves as much. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my cousin that she's a bad parent and that her kids need to be taken away? I have this cousin. I'll call her Tess. She has 3 children, 2 girls and a little boy. She asked me if I'd come babysit them while she went to work because her babysitter quit last time. I was happy to. I drive out there and start doing my thing. Great kids they are, and I love spending time with them. I've always felt kind of bad for them because of multiple reasons in the past. Anyways, this time I had enough. I go to use their bathroom and it stinks to high heaven. Most awful smell I've ever smelled. I go try to use the potty because I really had to go. I had a long drive. I opened the seat and there's turd all the way to the top on this dang thing. I run out gagging. I asked the kids why it was like that. They said it's because their mom's friend came over and flushed a freaking phone down toilet. I then asked how long ago that was because, dang. They said they didn't know. I asked if they still use it, and they said no, and that they used the bathroom while at school. This is the really nasty part. When they had to go pee while at the house, they would just go in the yard. Which in my opinion is fine if they live in the woods or something. But they live in a trailer park. And little girls squatting to pee where people could see them pissed me off. And then I asked what if they had to do the number 2. These kids would take those little pudding cup things, eat the pudding, then poop into them and throw them in the trash. When Tess got home, I was livid. I asked White how she had not got that fixed right when it happened. Her response was she's seeing a guy that is a plumber. He told her he'd come check it out. I asked when he was supposed to come fix it. She said about a week ago. I was so frustrated with her I screamed at her in front of her kids. How she is a horrible parent and that the kids don't need to be around her and that they need to be taken away. She started crying and I left. I called her mom and told her the situation. And she told me that Tess was going through some hardcore depression and that she didn't know about what was going on but that she would take care of it. I feel like a knave for saying what I said, especially in front of her kids. I know depression can be really hard to deal with. Now for the top comments. Not Dayhal. Having depression is bad, but she is a mother. She can't let her kids be without a working toilet for weeks. If she can't manage everything because of her mental health, she needs to seek help. Therapy for her, family or friends for the kids. For her children. But you are Nahal for screaming before the kids. Why, I find not everyone's sex here? I can understand the screaming pretty well, and I would have done so myself. So I think it is a light a-hole move. Why still a-hole even light? The children had hard times with over a week without a toilet. And that is just what we and Dopey knows of. And I think you should never scream in front of children if you can avoid it. Yes, I agree. I feel bad for doing it. I should have held my anger and approached the situation in a better way for sure. You shouldn't feel bad for saying it. She is literally neglecting her children. You need to call Child Protective Services. Not Dayhal. That is serious neglect. Probably shouldn't have yelled at her in front of the kids, as they don't need the added stress. But those kids need to be checked on. If her depression is affecting her to the point her children have to defecate in pudding cups, thinking about how hard/messy that would be, there's also probably a fecal matter everywhere. She needs help, and I'm thinking a CPS checkup. CPS definitely crossed my mind, but I didn't want to go that far just yet. That's why I called her mama and let her know. She's a wonderful person, and I knew she would do something about it. I'm going to check in all of them and keep in touch with Tess's mom to be sure. Not Dayhal. Social worker here. Running water, functional toilet, heat, and electricity are absolute essentials. And not only could she lose her kids, she could face fines or jail time/probation for not having a working toilet. She must have this fixed ASAP. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for putting my sister in her place when she went after our family? I, 25 female, am the youngest of 4. My older sister is a mom of 5. Her older 2 kids are from her first marriage. When my sister's ex-husband died, 3 years after their divorce, she told us it made her life easier and that it would make it easier for her kids to accept the man she was dating at the time. The kids were 6 and 7. They met her current husband about 9 months after losing their dad. She was thrilled with how things were going, and so she raced down the aisle and then told the kids he needed to adopt them. They said no. They were crying, upset, angry, wanting their dad. Our whole family talked to her about listening to the kids. We said she needed to give them time and space. She didn't listen. Told them they didn't know what was best. and didn't realize what a good dad her husband would be to them. A decade later, and that has blown up in her face. The kids are constantly fighting, both of them. My nephew told his mom that she was a bad mother to them, and even if she hated their dad, he was still their dad, and they love him regardless of how she feels or felt about him. He also told her all she did was make sure they hate both her and her husband, which is what they call him. My sister then decides our family's the bad guy in all this, and decided to lose her crap with us, saying it was all our fault and that we didn't help her kids. And we obviously put all this in their minds. She even accused us of telling the kids what she said about their dad. But we didn't. We never spoke a bad word about anyone to the kids. And I cut her off once she said we wanted to mess up her life. I told her she messed up, not us. That she selfishly wanted her life to be easier instead of thinking about her kids. And that it was her fault her kids hate her, and she needs to own the choices she made if she's so sure they were the right decision. But I told her she should not. And instead of fighting us, she should try to save her relationship with the older kids before they cut her off for good and never give her the time of day again. She tried turning it around on us again, and I told her she will end up losing 2 of her kids, and it will be her own damn fault. She is claiming I was a witch to her. My family said they agreed with what I said, but maybe I shouldn't have lost my cool with her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You were honest and told her something she needed to hear. Now it's up to her whether she can make any changes that might prevent her children from cutting her out. Not the a-hole. She made sure the kids absolutely felt she picked the new man over them, made them second choice, and now she's wondering why her selfishness is biting her in the butt. Not the a-hole. Sure, you could have been a little more sensitive, but she tried to force her kids to accept a new man in their life a year after the death of their father. If she can't see the issue here, she's definitely the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You shouldn't have lost your cool with her is kind of ridiculous when that was what she was doing. All you did was put her in her place. She is kind of an awful mother. I don't know who would see their children's father's death as a benefit, and then completely disregard their feelings and trying to replace their father not even a year after his death. How could she blame something completely her fault on you guys? I would cut her off completely. Maybe reach out to your nephews to see if they're okay.